Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Wednesday, November the 29th, race number 8 at Aqueduct. Let's take a look at the field for the New York Stallion Series. $125,000 is the purse. They're going 7 furlongs on the main track. For free Formulator past performances of this race, please head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com. Download them and handicap along with us. Matt, this race was eventually scheduled for November the 19th.
Yes.
The whole day was canceled at Aqueduct due to high winds. They are back. Everyone's back, I believe, and now with the exception of Fleet Irish, who was added to the race, it's still a competitive group.
Yeah, really no different than when we looked at it the first time. I think it can go a number of ways, but I do think from a tactical standpoint, a few of these horses are going to be up against it, and then you've got to make a decision what you feel about those couple horses coming out of the Hudson Handicap.
Dave Grenning reported that the one gold for the King after finishing 5th in the New York Derby, had a little bit of a foot problem. He came back in the Hudson Handicap last time out, was bet down to 4-1. And really didn't fire after a wide trip. Now, perhaps he needed that race off a little bit of a layoff. I think it's a hidden class drop. There are kind of two levels of New York bred sprinters. The horses that ran in the Hudson, you know, the Ostrolenkas and the weekend hideaways, and then this group. The drop should help gold for the King, and he's 2 for 2 at the Big A.
Certainly, I think the drop in class, like you say, those horses that he faced last time are just better than these. At the same time, I wanted to see something. He didn't do any sort of running. I don't want to hold the run 2 back in the New York Derby against him, going 2 turns. Twisted Tom, we know what he's turned into. I don't know. I just kind of feel like that horse needed to do some running for me in the Hudson to think that he has any chance in here. And then also, we talked about it a little bit from a tactical standpoint. He's way up against it.
Number 2 is Cloud Control. And Cloud Control is taking a pretty big step up in class. And you really have 2 levels of horses in this race. Horses like Gold for the King, horses like Loki's Vengeance, horses that seem a little bit off form, at least on paper. And then you've got the sharp horses like Cloud Control who have to prove it against this level of competition. Now, Cloud Control's last 2 dirt races have resulted in buyer speed figures of 82 and 84, which will be competitive with some of the better races of some of the top contenders in this race. But the horse he beat last time out, Arbitrator, while coming back to win with an 82 buyer, he did it against weak $16,000 foes. Does he fit?
Well, from a figure standpoint, he certainly does. I suppose if you're more of a class player, then you've got major concerns because that win last time out came in a non-winners of 3 lifetime. He's going to be going up against some salty veterans here. I have to be honest, I like everything about him. I think there's a lot here. He's not fully exposed. I know he's run on dirt 4 times. But I feel like maybe he's been on the wrong surface all along. The majority of his career has been on turf. He hasn't been bad on turf, don't get me wrong, but I wonder if this is what he's wanted all along.
What I liked about the last race is it was a very slow, measured pace, and I think we're going to get a similar situation here going the 7 furlongs, and he was able to kick on home, sort of like a turf race. Maybe Angel Arroyo can keep him close again, and he'll be able to kick again. From his recent figs, he fits, and he's 12 to 1 on the morning line. The 3 is Sudden Surprise, who's trained by Brad Cox. We have a positive formulator fact for this trainer over the past 3 years with older dirt sprinters off a small layoff in non-graded stakes and 58%, a $4.76 ROI. Sudden Surprise, like the horse on the rail, Gold for the King, dropping out of the Hudson Handicap. He had won 3 straight races prior to that effort. What's the real Sudden Surprise? The Stinkeroo in the Hudson or the big 89 buyer 2 back?
You know, the thing for me, I know he's won a couple of these New York Stallion Series races in the past. I feel like when he faces better horses, he just doesn't cut it. He can't quite run with those. The most recent start, he was in between horses, never really picked his feet up. That run 2 back, if you believe that's what he is, then obviously he's got a chance in here from a fig standpoint. I just wonder if he's not quite this good.
Number 4 is Nobody Moves, stepping up in class off a win for trainer John Toscano. Now, I thought he got a great setup last time out in that non-winners of 2 other than where they were cooking up front. This horse was just able to lag at the back of the pack, took advantage when that pace began to fall apart. It was a solid performance. He has solid figures as a late-running sprinter. I just think this pace scenario is going to be a lot different than last time.
Yeah, I tend to agree. He needed that pace to really come with that late kick. You see some of these other races with more tepid early paces. He comes along with a run, but it's usually good enough for a minor award. To me, that would be his ceiling.
I think the 5 Fleet Irish has a chance at here at a nice price. He's 6 to 1 on the morning line. He switches to Javier Castellano. This is a 3-year-old that might have a little bit of upside. 2 starts back at this 7 furlong distance. He got a nice setup. He was able to win, but last time out at a mile, he didn't get that setup. Sort of a slower pace up front, and he made a bid and he finished evenly. I think this horse is okay. His recent figs are sharp. It's his 3rd start back.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's all right. I have to be honest. I feel like that most recent start, maybe it was a combination of maybe the pace scenario was a little bit slower, but also he faced better horses that time around compared to what he did 2 starts back. For what it's worth, the runner-up last time out, Can You Dig It, came back and earned an 83 in his next start. So Fleet Irish, I don't think he's totally without a chance, but again, we talked about it with Gold for the King, and we've talked about it with some of these other horses. if the pace is moderate, I think he's way up against it.
Yeah, he's a horse that it has to be a little bit closer to the pace. The number 6 is Becker's Galaxy, going out for the red-hot Rudy Rodriguez, and just draw a line through his most recent start, the Empire Classic. He had no chance against Twisted Tom and Control Group, who came back to wire the Grade 3 Discovery last week with a 101 Beyer speed figure, and his race 2 starts back. He was in against some really salty, older, open, optional claiming types. This horse is cutting back in distance. Rodriguez has been deadly the whole meet, but especially so with sprinters.
Yeah, past 30 days, dirt sprints, Aqueduct 11 for 20 with a 437 ROI. The big concern I have with this horse is this distance. I know he's done very well with sprints, Rudy, as a whole for this entire Aqueduct meeting. Boy, you look at this horse, he's been going longer distances, and when they finally get him back to these sort of 7/8 distances, he just doesn't have the kind of speed to go early. If Irad Ortiz can get him into the running early and keep him within sort of range, I think he's got a big chance. I just don't know if he's going to be able to be there.
He was second in this race last year, well beaten second behind Loki's Vengeance, who returned off of a July layoff to win that race with a 94 Beyer speed figure. Loki's Vengeance has been away since May before this start. He is now with Linda Rice, but perhaps most importantly, the Timeform US pace projector gives Loki's Vengeance an advantage. That blue bar indicates that our friends at Timeform believe that this race will favor horses on or near the early lead. The 7 Loki's Vengeance should be fresh, on the lead. Distance is not an issue. Where's he been?
Well, he's been gone for some time, and you know, it's obviously got to be a concern, but Linda does pretty well off these long layoffs. That doesn't bother me too much. And when you offer up a scenario where potentially the best horse could end up with the best trip there, it's really hard to go against. You get Jose, you get Linda. I think there's a lot to like, maybe other than what ultimately his price is going to be.
And last year he came off the layoff, he controlled a paceless race, and he drew off. The Commentator was his most recent start way back in May. He was 40-1 in against Diversified. Draw a line through that race, and you have a horse that just really fits and is logical. The layoff, though, is always a little bit worrisome. But with that pace scenario, he's going to be dangerous. And as we take a look at our selections for the New York Stallion Series, you're going with Loki's Vengeance, best horse on the lead.
Yeah, I don't want to get too cute in here. And you know what? Maybe the layoff is going to come back and bite him in the rear end. I just feel like the tactical advantage that he's going to have, just send him out of there, clear off to the front, try and wire this field. I think Cloud Control, though, is very interesting, especially, mainly because I think this is probably the surface he's wanted all along, and he's very sharp.
You're going to go 7-2, 6-1. I'll take a stab with Cloud Control at 12-1 on the morning line. As Matt mentioned, kind of unexposed, still on dirt. He's only raced 4 times. His buyers are somewhat competitive, and I think he has it in him to stay close to a moderate pace. So I'll give Cloud Control a chance at a price. I'll also use the 5 Fleet Irish in multiple race wagers as kind of a price. I'll go 2-5-4-1 in the New York Stallion Series. If you are betting the Wednesday Aqueduct card from home, here is the deal. If you sign up for DRF Bets, you'll immediately access a $300 bonus. And all you have to do is go to drf.com/fall and use the promo code FALL300. Approximate post time for the New York Stallion Series, race number 8 at the Big A on Wednesday, 3:47 Eastern. Good luck.